Hi, I'm Daniel Mullen, and you're watching Purebred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV.
Here with Patsy after the 1-0 win against Brisbane Roar in round 5 of the A-League. Patsy, Brisbane came here looking to ensure that they didn't lose the game.
Yep.
Did it look like we sort of struggled to sort of break the lines today, and did it come across as though we sort of didn't have a plan B at times?
Yeah, I think so. It looked like the bye didn't do us any favours, and we'd lost a bit of momentum, and we weren't running, and we were letting Brisbane run a fair bit today. I thought we weren't going in and for the tackle. So, yeah, I think 1-0 is a great win. We were lucky, but it's still a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Since the FA Cup, there's been so much said about Al Hassan Toure.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the reports about which countries he's going to switch his allegiance to, etc. Did you feel like he probably didn't have his best game today to back all that up?
Yeah.
Should we be concerned, or is it just one of those ones where he's probably just got to put his feet back on the ground again?
I think so. Look, he's very young, and there's been so much publicity about him. So I think he did great during the FA Cup, but he's now just got to find his feet in the A-League, and we've just got to give him time to do that, and not put so much pressure on him. So yeah, I think he'll be fine.
In terms of team selection, we saw a pretty strong team today. Mark Maria in the middle was probably the only sort of one that raised eyebrows. Was this sort of a team that you would happily persist with going forward?
I think we still need to change it up a bit. The midfield's still a bit of a concern, but I think today we just weren't running. We just didn't have one of our best games. So it's a good team, and a team he can persist with going forward.
And from what you made so far from the season, obviously we've got a trophy in the bank, but obviously now that's our second win of the season. We've only played 4 games, but this is obviously 5 rounds in. What's your sort of pass mark for this season? Where would you like to see the team finish?
I think top 4 would be great. That's where we should be aiming for. Absolutely. I mean, everybody wants to go top 2, but I think top 4. Banking the cup was really great, but now we've got to look at getting points on all the other results. The draws are going our way, thank goodness. But yeah, I think top 4 is where we should definitely be aiming.
I thought we were quite flat for the whole game. We sort of struggled to break down Brisbane, given that they were really sitting deep defensively. It's good to see that we had a plan B, so to speak, that we could resort to, and it did get us the goal in the end. In terms of how many chances that we had, though, you just think that maybe we could have buried a couple. Obviously, Maria hit the crossbar that, in my view, he should have probably buried because he was unmarked. Had a couple of offside goals that it's not up to me to divulge whether they are offside or not. They're obviously clear calls, but I'm saying in the sense that maybe we should have perhaps not been in those positions in the first place. But look, 3 points is all that matters, and now it's time that we gain a little bit more momentum. We've got the Mariners next week, and then victory afterwards, which is a season definer in my eyes.
Speaking with Denzel after the 1-0 win against Brisbane Roar on this lovely Sunday afternoon here at Cooper Stadium. Denzel, what did you make of today? A very narrow win which came pretty late on in the end after a James Troisi assist for Riley McGree. What did you make of the game overall today?
I think we were a bit sluggish coming off the bye. We definitely lost momentum, and I think both teams were more scared about conceding a goal than scoring a goal. So they both played a bit defensive, I think. Number-wise,
Riley McGree's got 4 goals already this season. It's a great return for a midfielder. Should we almost be a little bit worried that if he keeps this form up and we don't have him in Adelaide much longer, that there's not much else to fall back on at the moment in the goals department? Because obviously we've seen how good Al Hassan can be when he's in form, but he's still very young. We don't want to heap too much pressure on him early on in his career. Are you concerned that we're pinning too many of our hopes on Riley?
Well, you look at the history of Adelaide, we've always had trouble with goal scorers. We've never had a good centre forward. Bruce DJ he came good at the end of the season when we won everything. But I mean, we definitely do need somebody, another outlet for goals, definitely. But what the answer is, I don't know.
What do you make of Robbie Fowler? The fact that we haven't seen a whole lot from Brisbane in an attacking sense so far this season. Clearly today they came with a plan which was not to lose. Is it a case of like after all the goals they shipped last season that defence first, or do we really need to see a little bit more in an attacking sense? It's a bit bland, dare I say.
I say, yeah, they're a bit bland, like I said, and if they don't sort of like start playing an exciting sort of football, their supporters will probably drift away. Won't come and watch the games. So, but with Robbie Fowler, let's go say a work in progress, I would say, being polite.
And just to finish off with, are you isolating the FFA Cup win? Are you sort of fairly satisfied with where we're at with Gertjan Verbeek at the moment? Still trying to sort of understand what his philosophy is, but in a healthy position. What do you reckon? Yeah,
I think we are. I think, like I said, we got the speed to burn when we want to. We definitely can find the back of the net, and I don't think it's just a case of the team more gelling. Like I said, I don't think the bide is any good. I feel like the boys looked a bit sluggish at the start of the game. But I think we're looking promising. Like I said, a top 4, maybe even a top 2.
I thought Brisbane disappointed me a little bit, to be honest, given that they've got Robbie Fowler, who's this regarded as God among Liverpool fans, and he has so much pedigree in terms of attack and everything. And seeing Brisbane Roar come here and just defend pretty well for their lives, and not really, I sort of struggle to work out what their actual plan is going forward, or what their style is, because it really isn't even evident. I saw them peg it to O'Donovan a lot, and then I saw them again pegging it long to Amani Holloway, who was just trying to chest down, but there wasn't really any sort of style, whereas we were at least trying to sort of work it in behind Raw's defenders, so that's like a clear style. I don't know what they were really aiming for, and whether Fowler's got some master plan that he's just yet to properly execute, I wouldn't know. But for the moment, I felt quite disappointed. I didn't feel as though Brisbane Roar were really that close to scoring, apart from set pieces.
Standing here with Cindy after the 1-0 win against Brisbane Roar. Lovely day out today, Cindy. Were you entertained over the course of both halves today, or did you feel like it wasn't?
I think the first half was a bit better, but obviously in the last 10 minutes that was the best result for us. So I think the second half went a bit longer than I expected. So Brisbane came into it a bit more. They were sitting back a lot in the first half, but we got the result, and that's the main thing.
Coming off the high of the FFA Cup victory and beating Newcastle Jets a fortnight ago, were you expecting a bit more of a complete sort of performance overall?
Not really, because we've been watching Brisbane. They're not a bad team. I mean, obviously they sat back here, but they haven't been. They've been attacking a lot, and we didn't have. Is it Dorigo today?
Correct, yeah.
And even though obviously Troisi played very well, but and you never know in soccer whether you're going to score a goal or not. So and Torre, he wasn't really there today much, was he? So
no. Just on Troisi though, one of the biggest billings of a signing that we've made so far this season. How do you rate him in the sort of holding midfield role? Like, do you think he can
today?
Do you think he can do a job there?
Everywhere. Yeah. He was just like the ball. Where the ball was, he was. He did very, very well. However, he made a difference when he pushed up and got that goal. Well, he didn't get the goal, but it was really his goal. I think he was very good. He was very good. He was in that, but it was sort of hard to tell because Brisbane were sitting back a lot, so they weren't. But like I said, he seemed to be everywhere. Where the ball was, he was. I'm thinking, my gosh, he did very well.
5 rounds into Robbie Fowler's managerial career, as a Brisbane fan, assuming or pretending that you are one, would you be sort of semi-satisfied?
Like I said, I did see a bit of the Perth game, and last week they looked pretty good. I think they should have won that game. They should have won that. I think they should have anyway, but then that's me. They didn't look very dangerous, except a couple of times in the second half. So, I'd be a bit worried, I suppose. But they're better than last year, I think.
And just finally, we'll finish on Fowler. He scored a famous hat-trick against your Gunners. How big of a deal is it for Australian football for a name like Robbie Fowler to come down under and
I think it's enormous. I think it's enormous. Even getting the old players from the Premier League like years ago when we had was it Dwight York and
it's gone a long way back.
Carney. See, I've been
Heskey.
Carney. Ultimately, I just think it sort of lifts it. I think I came Who went to Melbourne City? Was it David Villa?
Correct. Yeah.
We went to Melbourne to see him because we love the soccer anyway, and just to see a player like that come to Australia, little Australia, is really good.
And just finally, where's your pass mark for this season? We've put a trophy away already, but where do you expect this team to finish after the end of this current season?
Do you know the way they press? I think they've got more goals in them this year. I think they've got a good chance to get in the top 4, but I don't know about what is it called, the plate or whatever it is. Don't know about that. It'd be nice, but probably asking a bit too much, I think.
I think that our current back four is I wouldn't say gelling quite nicely, but you just feel as though they're sort of picking on from where we left off last season, with Moroney and Jakobsen playing as the centre half pairing. I actually rate Moroney quite highly as a centre half, and he's a little older, not as fast as he was perhaps 3 or 4 years ago when he was playing right back in his prime, and now I think that he's got so much to give to the team because he's got all of this experience, judges the game extremely well, and so I wouldn't want to see Moroney be taken out of that centre half position for a few weeks at least, unless he does something really wrong, because he hasn't really set a foot wrong in terms of how he's gone about playing centre half after doing a whole pre-season in right back. I think that I'm still not 100% on Kiddo playing left back. And we saw Verbeek put on Vince Valia and then push Maria back to left back, and he took Kiddo off, and that allowed Troisi to go forward. And that for me was the game-changing move. Even though Troisi was everywhere, as I mentioned, these sort of moves, I still want to see Maria probably starting games at left back. Today we didn't have Diarrigo, so I'd say Diarrigo would have been starting in that defensive midfield role, and we still are yet to have Boland return. So as soon as these players come back, I'd say we'll see changes again. But in terms of that back line, I don't think it needs changing at the moment. I thought Opseth coming on was not too bad. You just got the impression that we needed to perhaps play a little bit more direct, and Toure wasn't cutting it. He just had a bit of an off day, and you could say that for quite a few of the players on the field. Toure coming off and Opseth coming on, he didn't really have that much of an impact, but in terms of how he was getting into the box and sort of bullying the defence, I don't think that Toure was doing that as much. And when you're coming up against stiff defenders like Brisbane Roar were setting up today, you need somebody who can go and really bully the defenders, get in their faces, sort of rough them up a little bit and try and force an error. And in the end we just flooded the box, good passage of play, and we were able to convert that one chance, and ultimately that led to the winning goal.